everyone. I'm Dr. Renee Mehrra. Thank you so much for joining Zoom in with Renee. Today, my guests are all lovers of music. Music has been their passion their whole lifetime, and they are from the Westchester Music of India, and they are going to tell me all about their upcoming extraordinary concert that's going to be on March 26th at SUNY Purchase, which is upstate New York. And this is going to be celebrating the 75th anniversary of India's independence. It's going to be with magnificent sounds from Western classical, Indian and Western orchestral music. And the grand finale is going to be Ode to Joy, because the theme this year is joy and brotherhood of humanity. And so this is going to be a rare treat for the eyes and the ears. Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, Ode to Joy, being translated from German to Hindi. I'm going to share with our viewers how this came about. So joining me is Avinash Lal. He is the creative and music director, and he's one of the founders of the organization. Then we have Shara Darbal. She's, again, the founder of the Westchester Music of India, and her background has been as a corporate executive in many Fortune 100 companies, but it's her love for music that drove her to form this organization. Sure. And another founder of the Westchester Music of India is Mr. Deepbandhu Shah, who's a pharmacist by profession, but a big music aficionado. All of them came together to create this organization. Laura Durkin, she's the president of the Hudson Chorale, and she's been singing Western classical music for over 40 years now. It's everybody's lifetime has been music. And so, Laura, you have taken on that onus of getting these American singers to perform this translated piece from German to Hindi. So that is a huge task. So we have a sarangi player, Sohail Yusuf, and he is going to tell us all about how he got involved with them, because he comes from a family of musicians. And I want to go first to Mr. Deepbandhu Shah and Sharad Darbal. You started this organization in 2014. This is going to be your 9th concert. And how did you all music minds come together?
Well, we wanted to do something for society. By love of music, we wanted to produce the concert and donate the net proceed to some charities. So at the same time, we are fulfilling our music passion and helping the society. So that's how the group was formed.
Formed on my deck.
Yeah, on the deck.
There was a bunch of us sitting there enjoying it and wanting to do something more than just singing karaoke. And Avi had some ideas that I think he's been carrying in his heart and mind from the time he graduated, and he started to articulate that to the group. That had to do with bringing the whole method of chorus singing, which is very Western, and he's been singing in chorus for all his life too, into the Indian music scene. The merger is where they started, and that's how we came together and started it. That was the beginning.
Wow, yep. Amazing beginning. Mr. Avinash Lal, your background is music, television, film, and you have directed and produced many corporate videos for Fortune 100 companies, and singing for over 50 years. And your big, unique way of looking at music is bringing it together, the Western classical. It's a very eclectic, different sound, rich sound. Because you have been organizing Music of India programs right from your college. And then when you started with the rest of the Deepbandhu Shah and Sharad Darbal, Westchester Music of India, you brought this rich sound to everybody, bringing that exponential awareness about such beautiful sounds of music. How did that come about?
I moved to Westchester after spending most of my life in New Jersey about 15 years ago. And I observed that there were many people of Indian origin with musical talent, mostly singing, and everybody was ready to sing at the drop of a hat at various events, formal or informal, and they were all singing karaoke. And I also observed that most of the time when they were singing karaoke with the track, which was canned, audience was not really involved. They could hardly, they were chit-chatting and talking amongst themselves, whereas the singer was standing there and singing. And it occurred to me that there's a lot of talent. Why don't we perform at a slightly higher level on stage for an audience in a theater with live orchestra, no karaoke business, with live orchestra. And that's how it all came about. And Sharad mentioned that I presented the idea to some folks on her deck one summer evening, and the rest, as they say, is history.
How did you conceive this idea? I know that this concert is divided into three sections, the one that we're going to be seeing on March 26th at SUNY Purchase, upstate New York. And it's divided into the first section, I believe, is 10 Bollywood songs. And these are, again, songs of freedom and, patriotic flavor. And then you have the second one, Indian and Western orchestral music coming together.
Right.
And the third is like mind-blowing. I just want to share with our viewers, it is mind-blowing to see from that legendary German composer Beethoven. We have this piece, Ode to Joy. The last part is the poem, which is in German. And here we have this poem translated from German to Hindi. I can't even think how this could have happened. This is amazing.
How did it get born, the idea?
Hats off to you. How did you get this idea? Hey, I'm going to translate this from German to Hindi. And it's not easy because you've got to fit the rhythmic pattern. And the words have to go in that same music. How did you do that?
Well, yeah, it took some doing. I have to admit, it took a while. But I did not begin with that. When this idea first crossed my mind, probably around two years ago, when I was thinking about the approaching 75th anniversary of India's independence. So the thought was, okay, so what sort of program should we do? It has to be something very special. And one thought led to another. And of course, we always do Bollywood songs. So we were going to do Bollywood songs. But apart from that, what else? And then these two Ravi Shankar pieces that I am familiar with, and I've heard them many times. I've owned the recordings. And immediately the thought came to my mind, well, they represent a melding of East and West. Mm-hmm. Including literally Indian instruments and Western instruments. And he wrote it specifically for such an orchestra. And I said, that's fantastic. Let's do that. And then that led to, well, what else can we do? As if that was not enough. And that's when the idea of Ode to Joy crossed my mind, because as you know, Ode to Joy is such a wonderful, absolutely fantastic piece that is played and used and performed in just about every country. China, in Tiananmen Square demonstrations, students who are actually playing Ode to Joy piece. Leonard Bernstein was performing it after the fall of the Berlin Wall. Mm. This and WQXR plays it every New Year's Eve. So I couldn't think of anything better than this. Wow. But the thought was, okay, we can't do it in German. It makes no sense to do it in German. And I've always heard it in German. I don't know if anyone has performed it in English, but I had never heard it. So I set about translating it to Hindi. And probably maybe a month or two later, after I had translated the first paragraph, I said, okay, it can be done. That was a test. So I decided it can be done. Wow. And then at that stage, now, okay, so if it can be done, it can be translated, but who's going to perform it?
Yes.
So the next step was, Okay, I could think of immediately in the vicinity of where I live, Yonkers Philharmonic. So I approached their conductor. I went to see her. I communicated with her via email, and then I met her backstage in one of her concerts. She looked at me and immediately said, "You are Avi." She had never met me. And the smile she had somehow just intuitively told me, this is doable.
Mm.
And then I presented it to her and she said, absolutely, this is a fantastic idea. Do it.
Wow. And you did it?
Well, then after that, the issue was who's going to sing it. So here's the orchestra that we may get, but who's going to sing it?
Yeah.
Because it's a tough music and it requires reading music notation. Unfortunately, none of our Indian folks read music notation. So who's going to sing it? That was a very important question. And so we set about trying to contact various choruses in Westchester. And that's where Laura comes into the picture, because we caught on to Laura fairly quickly. And Laura is that wonderful genius of a lady. She is the one who's put this chorus together. She has brought all these singers together that are now singing in Hindi, and they've probably never even heard Hindi being spoken.
Right.
So I let Laura say what she wants to add to this.
Laura, how did you deliver this feat? I mean, they're like over 48 singers, and this Hudson Chorale, and they don't speak a word of Hindi to get those emotions and those feelings out. It's just like, how did you do it? Yes, you are the genius. That's right.
Well, no, Avi is the genius here. I'm the on the execution side. I will say that Avi's score is a work of art in itself. So Avi, I know, spent a very long time doing the translation and then put it into phonetic Hindi, English phonetics, so the singers could actually look at the music. And Avi's interpretation of the music has been given to us in the 3 rehearsals we've had so far. And we have just a great group of singers from all over Westchester and some from Manhattan. Our director is from Connecticut, and David will be singing in the concert with the Yonkers Philharmonic Orchestra playing and Avi directing. It's going to be glorious. It really is. We're so excited about it. It's just, I've never seen
goosebumps. I mean, how this is done. Yeah.
In India and in the United States. It's a wonderful country. It's a wonderful people. And I was just delighted to be able to help out.
Execute this humongous task of getting these singers to perform. Somebody has to monitor that they are getting the right pronunciation. That must be very, very challenging.
More than a year, Avi, we've been working on this, right? I think you and we sat down, I think it was in more than a year ago, was it not, Sharad? Yeah?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, and Avi was still working on translation, but we put together 4 professional singers who worked with Avi to create practice tapes with the correct or nearly correct pronunciation. It is not going to be Hindi perfect, right, Avi? We're doing the best we can.
Indeed, and doing an excellent job of it too.
Khushi.
We're nominating the honorary Indians.
Khuda, Khushi. It's amazing. Most Indians can't even say, they say Khuda, Khushi.
Could you like sing a 1 or 2 lines so we get a little feel of it?
Avinash, you sing a line.
The opening line, the famous opening line, which those who are familiar with the piece also know the very simple, that's the book.
There it is.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult piece, particularly for the sopranos, because it sits so high in the voice that I could not burst into song without having warmed up for a little while.
Opening melody that is introduced by the bass singer when the voice enters is something like खुशी कुदरत की चिंगारी दुख्तरे एलिसियम आए हैं आज दर पे तेरे दिल में आग लेके हम तेरे जादू से जुड़ते हैं सारे टूटे रिश्ते आज सब इंसान बनते दोस्त तेरे बाजुओं के साए में आज.
Wow. And this is Ode to Joy, March 26th, with the Hudson Chorale and the Yonkers Philharmonic and the Westchester Music of India. And here comes Sohail. I mean, Sohail, you are with Shraman, and Shraman is going to be playing the sitar, you're going to be playing the sarangi, then there's a tabla player, and then the keyboards, and then you have the Western musicians at the same time. So how is this rehearsal coming along?
I am a newbie in this group, and how it started was when I received a call from Mr. Lal explaining to me about one of the themes behind the concerts is to celebrate 100th centenary year of Pandit Ravi Shankar, the great sitar maestro. And part of the concert will be covering some orchestral pieces written by him.
So that is the second section, the Pandit Ravi Shankar piece?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And Mr. Lal expressed that he wanted sarangi for that. And I have always admired Pandit Ravi Shankar's work, not only because he was a great sitarist, but the story has a twist, which is that when the first orchestra came to India with Pandit Ravi Shankar, the sarangi player, came from India to the US with Pandit Ravi Shankar. The sarangi player who played in that orchestra was my grandfather. So Ustad Sabri Khan, the late Ustad Sabri Khan. So it was almost a non-negotiable deal for me. So I said, it'll be an honor, and I jumped to the idea, and one thing led to another, and here we are. It is challenging because what we're trying to do here is we're trying to kind of orchestrate a very free-flowing format of Indian classical music, which is based on improvisation.
Right.
So when you try to orchestrate that, when you try to interpret that with bars and keeping the Western format of orchestration in mind, things become slightly different.
Yes.
And again, the applause should go to Mr. Lal here, who's been doing tremendous amount of work, not only in terms of interpreting everything in the point of view of keeping the Western tradition in mind, but also keeping the Indian tradition in mind. And he's learning how the arrangement for Indian classical music works, and we've been talking a lot, Mr. Lal, right? That how we can find a common ground and how we can actually find solutions to the problems we've been coming to face with on a regular basis. It's been exciting. Yeah, I'm really liking it. It's not very often that I get to play parts my grandfather played in 1962.
Wow.
So it's really a very dear theme of music to my heart. I'm enjoying myself.
Absolutely. What the grandson now being part of this. It's amazing how how things come together, how events bring these things together. And as you rightly said, one is improvisation, the other is all written music, putting them together. So I don't know if you would like to at that point, at that moment, hey, I want to change a little bit of it, or can you do it at that moment? Hey, I want to just change it because I feel this is what the mood and the ambience is requiring me to do it.
I don't think so we could do that because we have to keep two traditions in mind. But I have to say, and I think, but what we are doing is, or what Mr. Lal has kind of design the panel for us in terms of play the music is when Indian parts come, they have the scope or the liberty to think freely for a bit, but then come back. There is a meeting point, and then you can be slightly away from the meeting point, do your thing, have a little walk, get fresh air, and then come and meet everyone together. So we are constantly trying to find a common platform for everyone to be and keep understanding.
Right. So when you're converging at that point, then of course you get back to what's been decided before, but you have some little of leeway and some freedom in the only the Indian musicians are performing. So that is an interesting part. And do you have is it a big piece?
So there are two pieces. One is a medley of pieces, which is picked up from this album called Ravi Shankar's Festival from India, which I believe were the first orchestra that toured US in 1962. With some of the legendary names playing. For example, Ustad Allah Rakha Khan, Zakir Husain's father, was part of that group. Pandit Ravi Shankar's sister-in-law, Lakshmi Shankar, was also there. And so many, And then the second one is, I believe it's from a Hollywood movie, right, Mr. Lal?
That's correct.
Yeah. So which is even more challenging because this is the piece which is not written from the point of view of being played live. When I say that, I'm kind of keeping specifically Indian instruments in mind, which are designed in a way so that when we play them, they're kind of tuned in one key, and the constant change of keys dramatically is not what happens in Indian music. However, in this particular piece, there are a lot of key changes. So what Mr. Lal has done now is we've kind of transposed a lot of pieces to accommodate to the live playing of Indian instruments in mind.
I see. I want to ask the founders of the Westchester Music of India, Mr. Dabral, Mr. Lal, Mr. Shah. Must be such a great experience to keep on bringing new themes every year from your organization to the audiences and keep them engaged with such compelling sounds. How has this experience with Ode to Joy, this new theme of joy and brotherhood, which is so very relevant in our troubled and very uncertain times?
Well, there is a lot of excitement for that particular piece. A lot of people are coming just for that. He says, we have heard Bollywood songs before, but we are interested in this particular piece.
That's right.
I was saying it is the diversity and the variation of the themes within one evening that people are going to see, from Bollywood to orchestral to, classical Western and Hindi. That has really fascinated people. It's not just, a monotonic concert with Hollywood songs. It is really diverse, and people are fascinated by the very thought of someone having put this together in their local neighborhood. So I've been talking to different groups, and they are absolutely there are people who haven't heard of Beethoven, but their children are beginning to talk about the violin and the viola. So, it's a great, there's great excitement even from a parental point of view to be exposed to, this kind of music and the possibilities of East and West musical, instrumentation and singing fusion together.
Especially the Western singer singing in Hindi.
Yes, exactly. I think it's a great musical and a cultural bridge and a great way of educating people about different genres and different musical sounds vis-a-vis your, Westchester Music of India. Laura, I wanted to ask you, is this the first time you have worked with Hudson Chorale, has worked for the first time with the Westchester Music of India?
It is. We were put together by one of the local arts organizations, which knew that Sharad and Avi were looking for help on this project. And, we all discovered, of course, during the pandemic, just how fragile communities can be, particularly arts organizations that, build on passion and not a lot of money. And so we worked very hard, our group, to stay vibrant during COVID, and we managed to stay together. But we know not everybody has been as successful. So we were happy. I just thought this was a great idea. And just, you're right, humanity and joy in these troubled times. I'm always happy to sing about that.
It's intriguing that I find the interest in the, our music group, Indian musicians and Indian audience. They're looking forward to this Western, being introduced to the Western part. And in the same way, if I'm correct, Laura, correct me if I'm wrong, but your chorus group is so excited to be able to watch the first half of the show because for them it's Bollywood music,
Yes.
live orchestra. So it's kind of a win-win for everybody.
It is.
Yes.
It's a win-win. We're very excited. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
very
here's
true.
an interesting
People would like to hear what
observation.
Bollywood music is all about. Westerners and the Indians like to say, hey, I want to see what's this Ode to Joy and Beethoven being translated from German to Hindi. So it's like, yes, it is a win-win situation because it's a little bit for everybody here.
The Shankar should be brilliant. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yes. That's the second part.
After transposing Ravi Shankar piece to the key that Sohail just mentioned so that it is playable by the sitar and sarangi that Sohail will play, I had to transpose it to a key of D. And it just so happens, what an interesting coincidence. Beethoven's Ode to Joy is in also key of D.
I see.
And I mean, is this metaphorical or what, or symbolic, that the two vastly different pieces written in different continents coming together on the same key?
Yeah.
It's a happy key.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, very well.
These were delightful.
Yeah, very well curated. Mr. Avinash Lal, so kudos to you. And Laura for getting this all from the execution side, from the creative side, and our performers. This is something, as I said before, very extraordinary as we celebrate India's 75th year of India's independence. AzadiKaAmritMahotsav. What a beautiful way for a Sunday afternoon on March 26th. So thank you all very much. And I'm sure, Mr. Avinash Lal, you're going to push it to the next level next year with another theme that is, again, going to be something, very innovative. And that brings, again, a lot of joy to people.
As a matter of fact, I'm considering retirement after this.
No, you're not.
Oh, my God.
We won't let you do that. No, you know what's
He
going to
says that
happen?
after every concert.
As soon as the concert is finished, after the dinner, you're going to say, what's next?
Thank you all for being here
Thank you,
today.
Renee.
And
Thank you, Renee.
so good luck with the concert. And again, that's going to be on March 26th, that's Sunday at 4 p.m. at SUNY Purchase. And that's upstate New York. And enjoy a great evening of magnificent and extraordinary sounds.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Renee Mehrra. Stay healthy, stay positive.